Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a really specific but pretty significant part of the medical world, unicompartmental knee prostheses.
Right.
Now, maybe you don't know exactly what those are.
Yeah, it sounds complicated.
It does. Essentially, we're talking about partial knee replacements, so fixing just the damaged bit of your knee.
Exactly. Kind of like spot repair instead of replacing the whole thing. If only one part's worn out, you fix that part.
Makes sense. And we've got this 2025 market report to guide us. So our goal today really is to pull out the key info, the big numbers.
Yeah, understand the state of play right now and where it's likely headed.
And it's already a pretty hefty market, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. This report puts the global market size at USD 124.6 million for 2025.
Wow, over 1.5 billion. And it's not stopping there, right? The report points to more growth.
Definitely. It's expected to keep climbing. The main reasons are, well, pretty clear. More people are getting osteoarthritis, other knee problems.
Right, aging populations, lifestyles maybe. It adds up. People want to stay mobile.
Exactly. So these targeted fixes are becoming more needed.
Okay, so let's get into that growth path. What are the headline figures?
So looking ahead, the projection is USD 2086.52 million by the year 2033.
Okay, so crossing the 2 billion mark?
Right. And that works out to a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 4.00% between 2025 and 2033.
4%, a steady climb. And the report's baseline year for this is 2024.
Correct. Base year 2024. And they look back at data from 2021 to 2024 as well.
So we get the history, the present estimate, and then the forecast out to 2033. A pretty full picture.
Yeah, it covers a good span of time.
All right, let's widen the lens now. Region by region. Where's the action happening, globally speaking?
Okay, so in 2025, North America is projected to be the biggest player. They hold over 37% of the market share.
Over a third. What's the value there?
That translates to about USD 564.10 million. But interestingly, their growth rate, the CAGR, is a bit lower, expected at 2.5%.
So dominant now, but maybe slower growth ahead compared to other places.
Yeah.
Let's dig into North America a bit. The U.S. must be a big part of that.
Oh, absolutely. The U.S. is projected at USD 445.08 million in 2025. The TGR there is 2.3%.
And what's driving it in the U.S. specifically?
The report really highlights the high adoption of robotic-assisted surgeries. That seems to be a key factor.
The tech adoption, precision, maybe better outcomes or perceived better outcomes?
Could be, and that likely fuels demand in a market that really values those advancements.
Okay. And Canada and Mexico?
Canada's looking at about USD 67.69 million with a slightly higher CGR of 3.3%. That's linked to rising osteoarthritis cases.
Okay.
And Mexico is estimated around USD 51.33 million with a 3.0% CGR.
Got it. So North America is the current leader. Let's hop across the pond to Europe. How does it stack up?
Europe's the second largest market for 2025. Projected size is USD 442.13 million.
So it's still substantial. What's their share?
Just over 29% of the global market. And their overall CGR is estimated at 3.1%.
Slightly higher growth than North America overall. Any particular countries driving things in Europe?
Yeah, a few stand out. The UK is projected at USD 74.28 million, but with a pretty strong CGR of 3.9%, again linked to more osteoarthritis cases.
Okay.
Germany's actually bigger in value, USD 87.54 million with a 3.3% CGR. The report suggests advanced orthopedic research there is a driver.
Interesting. So innovation playing a role.
Seems like it. Then you've got France, Italy, Spain, Russia, all significant markets, though maybe slightly lower growth rates, mostly in the low twos.
Right.
Even some smaller countries showed decent growth, like Luxembourg projected at 3.4% CGR.
That's quite a varied picture across Europe then. Okay, let's move over to APAC, Asia Pacific. I suspect we might see some faster growth here.
You suspect correctly. APAC is pegged as the fastest growing region overall.
Okay, what are the numbers?
For 2025, the market size is estimated at USD 365.90 million, which is about 24% market share. But the TGR from 2025 to 2033 is a strong 6.6%.
Wow, 6.6%. That's noticeably higher than North America or Europe. What's fueling that in APAC?
Well, it's a mix. China is a huge part of it, projected at USD 153.68 million with a 6.1% CAGR. Again, a surge in osteoarthritis is mentioned.
Right.
But look at India, projected market size is smaller, USD 36.59 million, but the CAGR is projected at a really remarkable 8.5%.
8.5%. That's huge. Why so high in India?
The report points to increasing healthcare investments, better infrastructure, maybe better access for people to get these kinds of procedures.
Okay, so growing capacity meeting growing need. Any other key players in APAC?
Definitely. Japan and South Korea are also pretty substantial markets, with KGRs around 5.1% and 5.7% respectively.
Still strong growth.
Yeah. And Australia, Singapore, Taiwan, all showing good growth rates, mostly in a 5.9% to 6.9% range. And Southeast Asia as a whole is projected at 7.4% CAGR.
So APAC is clearly where a lot of the future expansion is happening. Okay,
Yeah.
let's quickly cover the other regions. South America.
South America is projected at USD 57.93 million for 2025. That's just over 4% market share, with a TGR of 4.7%.
Okay, faster than North America and Europe, slower than APAC. Any standouts?
Brazil's the largest, about USD 24.8 million, growing at 5.3%, linked to knee osteoarthritis. Argentina's growth is even higher, 5.6%, potentially boosted by medical tourism.
Interesting factor. And the Middle East.
The Middle East is projected slightly larger than South America, around USD 60.98 million, also about 4% share, but with a higher CGR of 5.2%.
Okay, who's leading there?
Saudi Arabia and the UAE have the largest shares and strong growth rates, 5.5% and 5.7%. Other factors mentioned are rising obesity in Qatar and investments in orthopedic care in Turkey, helping drive growth there too.
Right, different local factors at play. And finally, Africa.
Africa represents the smallest regional market, projected at USD 33.54 million in 2025, roughly 2.2% share. The CGR is 4.3%.
Still growing faster than North America, though.
It is. South Africa is the main market there, about USD 11.81 million, growing at 5.2%, linked to its growing medical industry overall. Nigeria's growth is also noted due to increasing osteoarthritis cases.
Okay, that gives us a really good global map. Growth everywhere, but different speeds, different reasons. So, let's summarize the big picture drivers again. What's pushing this whole market forward?
Yeah, the report boils it down to three main things. First, as we've mentioned a lot, the simple rise in osteoarthritis and other knee problems. It's fundamental.
Right, more need.
Second, advancements in the technology itself, better implants, and crucially, minimally invasive ways to put them in. That makes surgery less daunting, recovery potentially faster.
Makes sense. Easier for patients.
And third, tied to that is increasing demand from patients. They want less invasive options, personalized solutions, ways to get back to activity sooner.
So patient expectations are also shaping the market. Okay, those are the drivers. What about key trends? Anything shifting in how or where these procedures happen?
Yes, two big trends are highlighted. First, the move towards using more technology in the operating room, robotic assistance, even AI for planning and execution, aiming for more precision, better outcomes.
We saw that mentioned for the U.S. market specifically.
Exactly. And second, there's a definite shift towards doing these surgeries in outpatient settings. Think ambulatory surgery centers, ASCs.
Right, avoiding the big hospital stay.
Yeah. It can be more convenient, maybe lower cost sometimes, compared to a traditional inpatient hospital setting.
So tech advancements and a move to outpatient care, that feels like a wider trend in healthcare generally. Okay, let's break down the market itself now by different segments. What about the types of implants?
Okay, the main types are fixed-bearing and mobile-bearing. Fixed-bearing implants currently dominate the market.
Why is that?
Well, they're the established choice. They have a long history of success. They tend to be more cost-effective. And the surgical technique is simpler, more familiar to surgeons, kind of the reliable workhorse.
Got it. The tried and tested option. But is that changing?
It is. Mobile-bearing implants are flagged as the fastest-growing segment.
Okay, what's the difference there?
With mobile-bearing, there's a plastic part, the polyethylene, that can move or rotate a bit on the metal base. The idea is this might allow for a more natural range of motion,
Oh, okay.
potentially reduce wear on that plastic part,
Yeah.
and maybe make the implant last longer overall, so they're becoming more popular, especially maybe for younger, more active patients.
Interesting. So an evolution towards potentially better function and longevity. What about the materials these implants are made from?
The report looks at stainless steel, cobalt chromium alloys, titanium, polyethylene plastic, and ceramics. Stainless steel is still widely used,
Why steel?
likely cost and strength. It's affordable, it's strong, it's dependable, especially in markets where cost is a really big factor.
Makes sense. But again, is there a faster growing material?
Yes, cobalt chromium alloys are pegged as the fastest growing material segment.
And the advantage there?
Superior wear resistance, they just don't wear down as quickly inside the body. They're also very biocompatible, meaning the body tolerates them well, and they're mechanically very strong. Ideal for something expected to last many years under stress.
So better wear, better compatibility, seems like a clear upgrade where feasible.
Okay, let's think about why people get these replacements. The application, right? Primary versus revision.
Correct. Primary surgery is the first time someone gets a knee replacement, usually for osteoarthritis. That's naturally the largest share of the market right now.
The first fix. Makes sense.
But revision surgery, where you replace an existing implant, that segment is expanding rapidly.
Why the growth in revisions?
A couple of reasons. One is just that implants don't last forever. There's wear and tear. Another is that some earlier designs might not have performed as well long term, and also people are living longer, so they might outlive their first implant.
Right. So as the population with these implants ages, revisions become more common. Okay, last segmentation piece. Where are these surgeries actually done? The end user.
The report looks at hospitals, orthopedic clinics, and those ambulatory surgery centers, the ASCs. Hospitals still hold the largest share.
Why hospitals primarily? High patient volume, they have the established infrastructure, especially for complex cases. Maybe more access to things like robotics.
The traditional setting.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the trend towards outpatient.
Exactly. Orthopedic clinics are identified as the fastest growing end user segment.
And that reflects
The preference for outpatient procedures, same-day surgery. Patients might find clinics offer more specialized care, maybe shorter waits. And these clinics are increasingly adopting the minimally invasive and robotic techniques, too.
So matching the trend we discussed earlier. Okay, fascinating breakdown. Now, what about the companies actually making and selling these devices? The competitive landscape.
It's described as highly competitive, as you'd probably expect. Big companies focus on tech, partnerships expanding globally.
Any names mentioned?
Yeah, the report calls out Stryker, Zimmer Biomet, and Smith & Nephew as major players. They're leaders in areas like robotic systems and customized implants.
The big names in orthopedics? What else is happening competitively?
Well, there are also emerging companies making waves, investing in things like AI for surgical planning or using 3D printing for patient-specific implants.
So innovation coming from newer players, too.
Definitely. And you also see mergers and acquisitions activity shaping the market. Companies buying others to get new technology or expand their reach.
Any specific examples?
The report mentions Ortho Development launching a new partial knee system, the BKS Uni, back in October 2023. And Smith plus Nephew acquired a company called Engage Surgical in January 2022, specifically for their cementless partial knee system.
Right, so M&A is definitely part of the strategy. Okay, we've covered a huge amount of ground here, really digging into this 2025 report. Let's try and sum up the key takeaways for you, the listener.
Yeah, I think the big picture is this is already a major global market, over $1.5 billion in 2025. And it's set for steady growth, around 4% annually, hitting over $2 billion by 2033.
Driven largely by aging populations and more knee osteoarthritis.
Right. But that growth isn't uniform everywhere. The Asia-Pacific region, particularly countries like India and China, is really powering ahead with much faster growth rates.
And within the market itself, we saw some clear, fast-growing segments. Mobile-bearing implants are gaining traction over fixed-bearing.
And in terms of materials, cobalt-chromium alloys are growing fastest due to better wear resistance.
And where the procedures are done, the shift is towards specialized orthopedic clinics and outpatient settings, moving away slightly from the traditional hospital dominance.
Exactly. Those seem to be the key dynamics. Technology driving implant design and materials, procedures moving outpatient, and the fastest overall growth shifting towards the APAC region.
So, considering all the tech, the move to outpatient, the regional differences, it leaves you with some interesting thoughts, doesn't it?
It does.
Like, what's the next big thing in materials or surgical techniques that could reshape this market again in the next 10 years? And maybe how will that increasing focus on outpatient care really affect who can get these procedures and what it costs them?
Yeah, definitely things to watch. How access and cost evolve with these shifts will be critical.
Absolutely. Some important questions to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.